Om Namah Shivaya. Welcome all to this special evening of Ughadi for the third webinar of the Mahabharata webinar series organized by the Mahabharata Upanayana. Now, I cordially invite Srimati Ashwati Chandran, Faculty Associate from Amrita Darshanam, to formally invite our guest, Sri Dr. N. Gopalakrishnan sir.
Om Amriteshwari Namaha. Om Namah Shivaya all. I'm extremely happy to welcome you all to this webinar. Let me begin by introducing you to our team. We are Amrita Darshanam, International Center for Spiritual Studies, Amrita University. The center is focused on study and research of Indian philosophy, culture, arts, literature and society. It is also our goal to spread the wisdom of Indic culture to the whole world. This webinar and the Mahabharata Upanayanam course is part of this collective vision. We are constantly guided by our Chancellor Amma Sadguru Sri Mata Amritanandamayi Devi. The course is intended as a comprehensive introduction into Mahabharata. It really is an Upanayanam, which means initiation, for those who want to take that lifelong journey into Mahabharata. Each module in this course extends a unique perspective on the Itihasa and what it has to offer. I'm very excited for all you who are about to take this course. This webinar series comes as an appetizer to the course. The webinar itself is also meant to inspire you to take up Mahabharata in your lives, live it and enhance your journey into Ananda. Today, let me welcome you to this scholarly session by Dr. N. Gopalakrishnan sir. He is the founder director of the Indian Institute of Scientific Heritage. He is also the only scientist who have been awarded the D.Litt for his research and studies in Sanskrit. He has 28 years of research experience with 50 scientific research papers in national and international journals, 7 patents, 6 awards, 9 science popularization awards from India and abroad, 2 fellowships, 60 books, more than 6,000 lectures and 200 hours of speeches in television media in India and abroad to his credit. He delivers lectures to the executives, managers and professors for many companies, universities, training institutes and professional colleges. He has also visited the US, Canada, UK and Middle East countries many times to deliver a series of lectures. He was a fellow of University of Alberta, Canada. He's a person who has devoted full time to teach Indian scientific heritage across the globe. So without further ado, let me welcome Dr. N. Gopalakrishnan sir. I hand over the session to you, sir. Please enlighten us with your wisdom. Namaskar.
Namaskar. Pranams to each and every one of you. And my Danda Namaskaram to the lotus feet of Mata Amritanandamayi. Today I am so lucky enough to participate in the Upanayanam of Mahabharata. You said Upanayana means initiation. Upanayanam also means taking nearer to the absolute truth and absolute knowledge. As you rightly said, a felicitation of the Yugadi. According to the geocentric theory, the sun enters to Meda Rashi. Meda Rashi by tomorrow morning 2:25. From that spot, Vishwa in Kerala, we are celebrating the New Year Day as Meda Sankranti Day. Sankranti means glorious revolution, change internally and externally. And that day, I do my felicitation, my pranams, my congratulations, my appreciations, and my encouragement, and also the words of motivation to you all for undertaking such a fantastic mission. And I was introduced by saying that I have written about 60 books, 151 books I have written, all big books in English and Malayalam. And also I was fortunate enough to take 7 postgraduate degrees, of which the last postgraduate degree from IIT campus, MBA. So I'm focusing and I wish to focus, and I think it is most appropriate to focus on the management concept, management based knowledge in our literature. And my mentor in MBA IIT Bombay campus was Dr. YLN Murthy, who was really a genius and had taken his PhD degree from Harvard on Bhagavad Gita and management. I was lucky to spend about in the contact class for about 14 days with him. So what I could learn in the contact classes in IIT Bombay campus was the management means really four subjects. Life management, whether it is life management, finance management, time management, or it is the managing the human resources development, space management, quality management, or whatsoever may be that. The management subject can be learned and be taught only through four pathways. First, telling the stories connected with the subject, explaining the stories point by point, and telling the students to take the message out of the story. That is the first point. This is preferred when the student is at lower intellectual level. Academically, if he is or she is at lower level, the best method is conveying the management messages, particularly life skill messages, through stories. If the individual has got slightly more academic intellectual capacity, then instead of stories, it can be the best pathway, next best pathway for a slightly elevated personality is giving the experiences. Still higher level, giving the messages directly. The best method for short time to improve efficiency and also effectiveness is intellectually at the highest level, topmost management, just to give the truth and fact about this subject. So, if you are delivering a lecture on management in how to make a movie, then stories connected with the movies, experiences connected with the movie makers, messages connected with the movie makers or their messages, and truth and fact about the movie making. These are the four methods. In India too, for the last not less than 10,000 years, according to the archaeological evidences, right from BC 8275 plus or minus 75 onwards. BC 8275 plus or minus 75, that is the oldest artifact available from more than 1,000 archaeological centers all over India. So we put our knowledge, our history or our archaeological evidences starts for the last not less than 10,000 years, 8,275 plus 2020, approximately 10,000 years divided by 20 or 21, the age of marriage of a girl. So 10,000 divided by 20 or 21 is equal to 500 generations. 500 generations we were taught continuously the life management through storytelling for the people of at lower level. 18 Puranas and 18 Upapuranas were written by different people compiling huge number of stories directly linked with a different type of people. All the heroes and heroines of the stories may be good. Rishis, they may be avatars, they may be good people, bad people, rogues, sannyasis, and so on. Different types of people take the part in as players in the stories written in 18 Puranas and 18 Upapuranas. Those stories are meant for ordinary people to improve their life. The the Indian message for the world is look to the mind first. Look internally instead of looking externally. The external pomp and fancy, external luxury, and external dramatic shows, these are all temporary. Whereas Manayeva Manishyanam Karanam Baddham Mokshayoho Bandhaya Vishayasaktam Muktam Nirvishayam Smrtam. Focus on the mind. Convert the bad mind into good mind. Then automatically the bad thoughts will get converted into good thoughts. Then the bad action will get converted into good action. From there, you will get from bad result to good result, bad reward to good reward. So, a good mind produces good thoughts produce good action produces good result will be giving you good reward. That we say, San Manasa Sat Chinda Punya Karmam Punyam Swargam. So the heaven and hell, according to India, is the creation of the mind, not the creation of the God. God does not have any role in creating hell or heaven for you. Nadate kasyachit pavam nataiva sukrutam vibhuhu. God is not giving you punyam or pavam, virtue or sin. God is not giving you hell or heaven. It's all your activity and based on your activity. So remember that. For every good action, there is an equal and opposite good reaction. For every bad action, there is an equal and opposite bad reaction, both to be experienced by the actor. For every good action, there is an equal and opposite good reaction to be experienced by the actor, and bad action to be experienced by the actor. This can be understood through the stories given in 18 Puranas and 18 Upapuranas by our great rishis, written not less than 4,000, 5,000 years back. And after the Purana, where your intellectual capacity is slightly higher, go to Mahabharata. There you can see stories plus experiences of people. 1,25,000 shlokas, stanzas are there in Mahabharata. Of which 60,000 stanzas are connected with the stories of animals, not people, not human beings, particularly connected with the animals. You can understand a lot from the stories of the animals. And 65,000 shlokas are directly connected with the 20 people linked with the Pandavas, Kauravas, and also those who were working with them. Thus, the mixing of stories of animals and also experiences of Pandavas and Kauravas and those who are connected with them, that is nothing but Upanayanam of Mahabharata. You just understand about the behavior of the individuals. Now, when you are entering into the third level, Ramayana, 24,000 shlokas are there. It's exclusive with experiences. No stories are there. When your intellectual capacity is rising from Puranas to Mahabharata, from there to Ramayana, the experiences of most important characters, numbering nearly 20-21. The positives and the negatives that you can learn from their experiences, the positives that you are learning from the stories, positives that you are learning from Mahabharata, positives that you are learning from Ramayana are known in Sanskrit as Vidhi. In Sanskrit, they are known as Vidhi. Vidhi means what you should take from that book, that story, that experience, that narration, that explanation. That is Vidhi. What you should not take from the story, what you should not take from the experiences, explanation, is known as Vidhi Nishedam. All the students now listening, all the people who are listening now, should learn these two words. Vidhi, what we have to take from the book. Vidhi Nishedam, what you should not follow in your life. These two are given. Keep your ears open to listen good and bad. Keep your eyes open to watch good and bad. Keep your mind open to take only good. Keep your ears open to listen good and bad. Keep your eyes open to listen, to watch good and bad. And also keep your mind open to take only good. Under that situation, Ramayana gives you experiences of people. experiences of Rama, experiences of Bharata, Shatrughna, Ravana, Vibhishana, Kupakarna, Bali, Sugriva, and so on. What you feel good, take it from that. What you feel bad, don't take it, reject it out. That's the third level. When you are entering into the fourth level, remember the Vedas. Sangachatvam samvadatvam samvo manam siddhanata eva bhagam yada upe sanjanana upasate samano mantra samiti samani samanam manasakajittamesha samanam mandram abhimandrayeva samanena voha vijajuhopi samani va agudi samana hridayani vaha Samanamastu mano yada avasutaha sati. This is the mantra of unity. Aikamatya Suktam, accepted by 239 countries in the world according to UNO's registration. This is the message, the last part of the sutta given in Rigveda as the message. No story, no experiences explanation, directly Sangachadvam. You move together, march forward together. Samvadadvam. You discuss with an open mind. Samvo manamsi janata. Try to understand mentally, psychologically, and an integrated understanding of the people who are working with you. Sangachadvam, Samvadadvam, Samvo manamsi janata. Deva bhagam yada purve sanjana upasate. Do all your work, each and every part of your work, as the offering to the divine entity. You are just worshipping the God. Let your action, whatsoever make it to be offering to the Almighty, omnipotent, omnipresent, divine power. Samano mantra samiti samani samanam manasagajitta. Whenever I am praying, whenever I am chanting, let your prayer and my chanting and your chanting be complementary to each other. Never contradictory, never conflicting, never confusing. Samano mantra abhimantra eva. Whatever mantra I am chanting and your mantra, it should be complementary, cooperating, coexisting. So, samiti samani samanam manasaka chittamesha. Whenever we are sitting together in a committee, samiti, let us discuss positively. Let us do the targeting of our goal and work for that goal. Samiti samani samanam manasaha chittamesha. Let our mind, let our thoughts, let our vision be complementary always. Be coexisting always. Samani va agodi samana hridayani vaha. Let our heartbeat also be complementary to each other, never contradictory. Let us exist together. Let us share, care, and cure together. And samani vagudi samana samanamastu mano yada vasutaha sadi. Having the same vision filled in our mind, let us live a happy life with a smiling face. These are the messages given in Vedas. So remember, stories are given for management in Puranas, stories plus experiences in Mahabharata, experiences in Ramayana, direct messages in Vedas, truth and fact in the Upanishad. 5 level of management literature in India. Upanishad tell you, Uttishtata, gloriously stand. There are problems in the life, hurdles in the life, obstacles in the lives, pains in the life, success and failure in the life. People may appreciate you, people may criticize you, people may encourage you, people may discourage you. These are all part and parcel of your life. Instead of saying that living is the experience, we may say that preparation for living is not life, experience of living is life. And whenever you are experiencing positives and negatives in your life, and with a bold mind and courageous activity, stand up and face whatsoever are coming or whatsoever is coming. Uttishtata, Jagrata. Remember that you are not permanent in this world. If date of birth is there, inevitably date of death is there. How long you are living, you are going to live, nobody in the world is bothered. How you are living, that is what the world is bothered. So Uttishtada means gloriously stand up. Jagrata means remember that you are not permanent in this world. Prapya Vara Niboda, the messages given in the Upanishad tells you that enlighten yourself by acquiring knowledge from this college. Enlighten yourself by acquiring knowledge from this college. Satyam Vada, always tell the truth. Always tell the truth. In Kerala, you can see the rulers are always telling the lie or untruth. Satyam Vada, Dharmam Chara. What is Dharma? Dharmam is equal to your duty plus responsibility plus privilege in your life. Follow the Dharma in your life. As a student, your Dharma. As a teacher, your Dharma. As a sannyasi, your Dharma. As a spiritual man, your Dharma. As a mother, your Dharma. As a father, your Dharma. As a son, your Dharma. As a daughter, your Dharma. To be followed. Duty plus responsibility plus privilege of an individual is known as his or her Dharma. Like this in the Upanishad, you can see directly truth and fact are given. So 5 level of management literature. Remember that. All the nine religion in the world, only Hindu Dharma, only Sanatana Dharma has got nearly 2,000 foundation literature in Sanskrit, nearly 10,000 commentaries in Sanskrit, and 1 lakh sub-commentaries. Thousands of literature written by thousands of rishis containing thousands of subjects and written for the last many thousand years. Thousands of literature containing many thousands of subjects written by thousands of acharyas, and that too for the many thousands of years. This is what the truth is. So remember, Indian culture. It's impossible for you to learn all these books, even if you are getting about 100 Janmas. It is impossible. It's impossible for you to read even once. So what should be done? The next option is learn Mahabharata. 1,25,000 shlokas are there in Mahabharata, of which I told you 60,000 shlokas are nothing but the stories of animals, birds, and so on. And 65,000 shlokas are the experiences of people who were participating in Mahabharata. Total epic. So first learning all these books, impossible. Learning Mahabharata fully, not that easy. Next is 700 shlokas of Bhagavad Gita, of which 565 shlokas directly given by Lord Krishna. Learn that. You will be getting enough. If that is also impossible, 18 mantras are there in the Ishavasya Upanishad, which is a part of Yajurveda, 40th chapter. So learn that 18 mantras, 18 stanzas of Ishavasya Upanishad. It will be giving you lot of treasury of knowledge. And this is the way. Total literature, impossible. Mahabharata, second choice. Bhagavad Gita, third choice. Or Ishavasya Upanishad, fourth choice. Here, my subject is Mahabharatam. Bharata means Bhava Raga Talam. The nation where Bhava Raga Talam are coexisting. Mahabharata, as I told you, the 60,000 shlokas directly give you the stories, Pakka management stories, including the story of the rabbit and the tortoise, the stories of the rabbit and the lion, stories of the crow and owl, stories of the jackal, and stories of the fox and the lamb, and a variety of stories. All these stories given by great scholars of Mahabharata and explained either to Kauravas or to Pandavas. Here you can see the management principle provided. You have got the will to analyze the stories. As in the MBA, Master of Business Administration, stories are told. Variety of stories are told. All these stories you should look into the messages from the stories. And we need not bother when it happened, where it happened, and so on. What happened, and from that what you are learning. Whenever you are listening a story, why, what, when, where, who, whom, how, 7 questions are to be asked. Whenever you are listening a story, why the story has been created, when it has been created, where it has been created, how it has been created, what is the purpose of that story, for whom it is created, and who created that, and what are the essence of that story. And remember, how it is told, no problem at all. What is told and how you are going to use it, that is important. It's left to you. Take the jewels from the story. That can be from Puranas or part of Mahabharata. So Upanayanam connected with the Mahabharata stories, as you know, we need not go deep into it. But when you are going to the experiences explained in the 65,000 slokas of Mahabharata, you can analyze every incident in Mahabharata, and unbiased methodology to be adopted for understanding what happened. And remember that. You know, Dhritarashtra was always suffering with a inferiority complex. And that inferiority complex wanted to be countered by superiority complex when he was forced to become the king till Dharmaputra became, major 18 years after that. So what happened to Dhritarashtra? He was a blind personality, but blindly he supported his children. He could not control his children. And unfortunately, his wife Gandhari was never blind, but she tied her eyes. So parents became blind either naturally or artificially. What we have to learn from this: no CEO of a company, no director of a company, no owner of a company, no chairman of a company should become, should become a blind man or artificially keeping his blind eyes. That will create problem. The first lesson that you have to learn from Mahabharata: the father did not know how these children are growing. The father was not aware how the children are fighting with others, how they are mishandling the system, how the children are egoistic, how the children are behaving. Duryodhana and others, how they are insulting others, how they are talking, and how much they are arrogant. This the father could not understand because he was blind. Is it not applicable in a family? Is this not applicable for a company? If the father, the chairman, the CEO, or the director or the manager, they are naturally blind or artificially blind like Gandhari, then naturally that family will perish. That will ruin. This is what we have to learn. And remember that Gandhari, the very, very famous hero, one of the heroines of Mahabharata, she could have kept her eyes open to understand what are the negatives taking place in her family. Unfortunately, in the name of Pativritya, in the name of Pativritya, she also kept her eyes blind and closed with the cloth, saying that whatever positives are not available for her husband, that she also does not want it. This may be as a Padivritya or chastity base, it may be true. But in real life, what is happened? When the mother kept her eyes closed, she was not in a position to look after her children, how they are growing. They were day by day her children, and their children are becoming worse and worse and worse. Right from the childhood, if Gandhari would have nurtured very well, such a negative would not have happened at all. Naturally, we cannot explain that from Dhritarashtra because he was naturally blind. So remember that. You should not naturally blind when you are handling any major project or program or work. And also, you should not behave like you are blind or close your eyes for the negatives happening. Then and there you have to correct. Addition, deletion, modification, and corrections are essential for the management in the life. Now, I have explained to you about Dhritarashtra, and also I explained to you about Gandhari. Now, just to see about Bhishma Pitamaha. And in fact, he had taken a pledge that he will, at any cost, will protect Hastinapura. He has taken the pledge, the oath that at any cost till his last breath, he will be protecting the nation. Mother and motherland are higher than the heaven itself. Janani Janma Bhumischa Swargad Abhigariyasi, the line told by Sri Rama to Lakshmana, pointing to Vibhishana in Ramayana. So remember that. What happened to Bhishma Pitamaha? Bhishma Pitamaha was a person perfect in Dharma Shastra. He knows pretty well how to rule a country, what is good and bad. And Bhishma Pitamaha had excellent awareness about what are good for the country, what is good for an individual, what is good for a family, what are the things good for a king or a kingdom, how to rule a country, how not to rule a country. All these points, word by word by word by word, has been known to Bhishma Pitamaha. Unfortunately, he himself twisted his pledge and oath. His oath was he will protect Hastinapura. Instead of protecting Hastinapura, he diverted his Bhishma Pratigna for protecting the rulers of the country. That is what for India it happened for the last 70 years or 66 years. Many people, they should have been pledged to protect our nation, motherland. Instead of that, they were diverting their pledge to protect the dynasty ruled India and still trying to rule. So when you want to protect a kingdom, focus protecting kingdom. When you want to protect the rulers of the kingdom, then it is entirely different. Don't say that my pledge is to protect the nation. Tell that I am fully focusing on protecting the rulers. Protecting the rulers does not, never means protecting the nation. This is applicable everyday life in Kerala and also all over India. So Bhishma Pitamaha, knowing pretty well about the Dharma Shastra and all the duties and responsibility of an individual, and also the person with all the experiences in a position to bless, guide, motivate, encourage, console Dhritarashtra, Pandu, and other people. He took part with the Kauravas, knowing pretty well that he was doing the negative thing and he was partaking the negative role in Mahabharata, and that he knew and he continued to do that. And remember that for every bad action there is an equal and opposite to the other reaction. And Bhishma Pitamaha, remember that he was the only person who had to lie on Sharashaya, the bed of arrows. Nobody else had that unfortunate misfortune to lie on the bed of arrows. Shaguni did not lie on that. Duryodhana, Dushasana, Karna, nobody who partake the war in the side of Kauravas had the fate, negative fate, terrible, painful fate of Bhishma Pitamaha. Why? Why it happened to Bhishma Pitamaha? Knowing pretty well about Dharma Shastra, knowing pretty well what is good and what is bad, knowing pretty well what is appropriate and what is inappropriate, knowing pretty well what is to be encouraged and what is to be discouraged. With all this knowledge, he took part with the Kauravas, who were very well known, dealing and living with a terrible negative in their words, deeds, and every aspect of it. So, what we have to learn from Dhritarashtra, what we have to learn from Gandhari, what we have to learn from Bhishma Pitamaha. And remember that a company director, manager, knowing pretty well that he is going to get himself trapped, himself punished, never be with the negatives. Every company will be having negatives in their action, in their words, in their business, in their communication, in their production quality, product quality, process pathway. Negatives may be there. Negatives may be in the behavior, may be there. Negatives in the communication will be there. But a person who knows pretty well what is positive should never take part in the negative. This is what we are. A perfect knowledge that you can derive from Dhritarashtra. Perfect management knowledge you can derive from Gandhari. Perfect management knowledge which can be written as a PhD thesis that you can derive from directly Bhishma Pitamaha. And also just to see our Dronacharya, born as a Brahmin, never expected to convert himself into a Kshatriya, but born who is expected to learn Vedas, who is expected to learn Shastras, not Shastras, but still he got converted himself into a Shastra expert and got himself converted into a Kshatriya and taught everything connected with that to Pandavas and Kauravas. And Guru for both group. And Pandavas always fought with Kauravas. And Kauravas always fought with Pandavas. But Pandavas did not project it because of Dharmaputra. Now coming to Dronacharya again. Dronacharya was interested only in saying that I will work for Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana because I am getting my food and I am getting my fees and I am getting my salary from the king. Annadhata Sukhi Bhava. Dhritarashtra is giving me shelter. Dhritarashtra is giving me food. Dhritarashtra is giving me money. Dhritarashtra is also protecting my son Ashwatthama. Under such a situation, I am not looking to anybody else. I am bothered only about my position in this country, support that I was getting, I am getting, and I will be getting when I participate in the battle, supporting Duryodhana and others that ruined him. And remember that merely for food, what happened in an emergency in India, exactly what Dronacharya said. People just went into their den, and the scholars and the leftist and the brave people who used to talk about democracy and freedom of expression and freedom of press, they were all inside the cave, not even making a silent voice of murmuring. Dronacharya did the negative. In spite of his being an Acharya, a great mentor and a guru, he always took part mentally with the Pandavas, physically with Kauravas. This two double role you can never act in a management situation. Mentally you are with the enemies, his enemies, and physically with this group. Can anybody put his or her two legs in two boats? Naturally that will ruin them. So just to learn from Bhishma Pitamaha, what happened to him, how it happened to Bhishma Pitamaha, why it happened, how it happened, when it happened, who is responsible for whatsoever happened for Bhishma Pitamaha, and all these things. Just ask why, what, when, where, who, whom, how, and then come to ask the same question to Dronacharya. Who is Dronacharya? What happened to Dronacharya? Why he took part with the Kauravas? And what was the failure that in his vision? And what was the justification he was given? How it happened? Everything. Ask the 7 questions to Dronacharya. You can learn one full day, one full week lesson from Bhishma Pitamaha, same way from Dronacharya. And just to see, next you can see anybody you take, one by one you take, you will be getting Kunti Mata. And she nurtured pretty well, very well, Pandavas, in spite of his being a widow and also the protector and caretaker for 2 children from Madri, the 5 children. She looked after perfectly, cared them perfectly, made them powerfully strong, and taught her 5 children what is meant by the battlefield, what is meant by strength, mental strength, physical strength, social strength, academic strength, how to behave, how to talk, how to communicate. A widow as a mother of Kundi, and in Lucknow University, through 2 PhD theses have been submitted on Kundi Mata, and how perfectly she was advising all the 5 children. Not only her direct blood children, but also her husband's children from Madri. And unbiased, impartial, powerfully strong. powerfully strong. Nobody you can see in Mahabharata equivalent to Kunti Mata. Kunti Mata. That's what happened as the role in Kunti Devi. And you just see about Draupadi. Now coming back again to Kunti Mata, there is a small incident. After Mahabharata war, I'm not going to give you detail of that, just a few lines. After the Mahabharata war, Dharmaputra and Pandavas decided to perform Ashwamedha Yaga. And they were discussing, 5 people were discussing together. 5 brothers were discussing. Incidentally, Kunti Mata came over there. And she asked Dharmaputra, what you are discussing? Dharmaputra said, we would like to do some prayaschitta karma for killing so many great people and warriors. That prayaschitta karma, as far as the kingdom, as far as the king is concerned, it should be Ashwamedha Yaga. So we are going to perform Ashwamedha Yaga. Immediately Kunti Mata asked Dharmaputra, hey Dharmaputra, after this torrential, horrible and blood shed war, do you think this nation can afford the expense connected with Ashwamedha Yaga? Do you think that that much cost can be faced by this country and the king? And if you are not sure that the burden of the money will be very high, then first you have to think about the money that is to be brought for performing such a yaga. And before finding out the money, it is your duty to discuss about the subject, not among the 5 brothers, with the chairman who can understand fully detail about the Ashwamedha Yaga and how to guide you 5. Without a chairman, you should not conduct such a discussion. You are primitive people, your knowledge in conducting such a thing, and you are not kings and queens or something like that. So you should have a chairman to guide you before conducting all these things. Remember that how many kings and how many people you are going to call, and who is going to coordinate all these things. And remember that who is going to introduce these kings, and where you are going to shelter all these kings, and when they come, how they are going to come, how they are going to reside, what are their tastiest food, and how you are going to welcome them. Who will be responsible for that? Who will be responsible for the finance? Who will be responsible for the spiritual activity? Who will be calling all these Vedic priests? Discuss like that one by one, then only go forward. Not this type of internal cell discussion like CPM. So remember, Politburo discussion. Not, that is not the one which we want. And that is the way Kunti directed Pandavas. Really, Pandavas got shocked. And if you are reading the lines of Kunti Mata, the advice given on such a thing in this group, you will really flabbergasted because of her capacity. This you remember that Mahabharata war took place BC 3140, 32 years prior to Kali Yuga starting. Kali Yuga started 3102 February 17th, Thursday, 11:55 midnight. Kali Yuga started 3102 February BC 3102 February 17th, Thursday midnight, 11:55, when the sun, the moon, the earth, the Mars, the Jupiter, the Mercury, the Venus and Saturn came to Delta Cangri, Meda Sankranti Rega. Meda Sankranti Rega. When these planets and the Grahas came to the same line, the yoga of Grahas took place and the Yuga started. So remember that. That happened in BC 3102, 38 before that Mahabharata war took place, which is equal to 3140 BC. So 5164 years back, Kunti Mata, a widower, have the perfect CEO, managing capacity to control a fantastic national program of Ashwamedha Yaga through her children. That is what Kunti Mata means. This is Upanayanam to Mahabharata. Going nearer to Dhritarashtra and learning what, how, why he did, whether it was success or failure. Learning about Gandhari Mata, whether her activities were good or appropriate or a success or failure. Going to Vishwa, going to Dronacharya, and going to Kunti Mata and learning what they did, why they did, when they did. Was it successful or failure? And if it is successful, why it became successful? If it is failure, why it became failure? This is Upanayana of Mahabharata. Then you just come to Dharmaputra. Dharmaputra was a fantastic personality, an embodiment of Dharma. Unfortunately, he was so timid indirectly and was careful, and he was always worried about Dharma. And he was the instrumental to play the chess and got himself trapped into pledging himself, his brothers, and also his wife. So, good qualities of Dharmaputra Yudhishthira became a bad quality for themselves, finally ending in the bloodshed and the battle. A good person should never become like Dharmaputra. We may be saying Dharmaputra is the embodiment of Dharma. Dharma is good, his simplicity is good, his respect to others is good, his truth and factors connected with his personality, these are all good. But bowing the head beyond a limit, just like L.K. Advani told during emergency about Indira Gandhi. And L.K. Advani said, she said to bend to these press people and the press reporters and the media intellectual people. Instead of bending, they started crawling. These intellectuals and the Samskarika Nayakas started crawling. And Dharmaputra also became like that. And very easy, when Duryodhana told Dharmaputra and Pandavas that instead of myself, Shaguni will be playing the chess. Instantaneously, Dharmaputra could have told, when you are not playing and on your behalf, Shaguni is playing the chess. Naturally, I will not be playing. Lord Krishna will be playing that. Lord Krishna was an expert. He is an expert and will be an expert on all subjects. If Krishna would have been invited and allowed to sit instead of Dharmaputra, such a war would not have happened. And Duryodhana at all would have been annihilated and wiped out. So the innocency, Nishkalangata of Dharmaputra created all the problem. So never try to become like Dharmaputra. And Dharmaputra prevented Bhima from acting and responding. So my message to you, learn, teach, react, act, and also spread. Padichu, padipichu, prajaripichu, pravartichu, pradigarikiga. Padikiga learning, padipikiga teaching, prajaripikiga spreading, and also acting, pravartikiga, and reacting, pradigarikiga. And Bhima was ready to react. Others were also ready to react. This fellow did not allow. That is what Jawaharlal Nehru said. Our people just went to Pakistan, occupied Kashmir to the other end. But he was so timid for creating happiness to Muslim countries. What he did, he told the people to come back and give Pakistan occupied Kashmir to Pakistan. So that is not innocency. It is nothing but wickedness, cowardness. To a great extent, Dharmaputra was also aware about his own negatives. But unfortunately, he was indirectly the instrument for the war. And he played the dice. And the negative of Kunti Mata is that Kunti Mata could have advised Dharmaputra, a person like Dharmaputra, a king like Dharmaputra, a eldest brother like Dharmaputra should not become addicted to liquor, should not become addicted to prostitutes, should not become addicted to chess or dice. These are the three qualities expected from a good person, a dharmic person. And Kunti Mata did not advise. If Kunti Mata would have taken appropriate step to control Dharmaputra, whatever negative happened in the kingdoms would not have happened. Mother failed to control the son. Mother failed to control the son. In your case also, remember that. Maybe persons are good, excellent, very good, active, effective, but sometimes, somewhere they may be flop. Then correcting is needed. Correction is needed. You may be perfect 97%, but 3% you may be a failure. Their advice, guidance are needed. So Dharmaputra is like that. Bhima, powerfully strong. Many a times he rarely used brain. If he would have used brain also, Bhima would have been a different personality. Arjuna is perfect. All average of all the five. Dharmaputra, Bhima, Arjuna, Nagula, Sahadeva. Dharmaputra is embodiment of Dharma. Bhima is embodiment of muscle power. And Nagula is embodiment of handsomeness and beauty. Sahadeva is embodiment of truth. And all the four plus Arjuna's courage and boldness. That is what Arjuna is. And he was really great and good, but only negative, never reacted against his eldest brother when he did the negatives and when Dharmaputra did the negatives. Now you take anybody, you can see Draupadi, perfect and bold lady, never took her leg back from anything. She was so courageous. What really Indian woman? That means Panjali Draupadi handled all the five people. Whether it is theoretical or practical, these are all immaterial. What you are learning from Draupadi, Panjali, that is what encouraged the husbands and motivated them to fight the war. Remember, knowing pretty well that 11 Achauhini, 11 Achauhini number of people and chariots and elephants and horses were there with the Kauravas, and only 7 Achauhinis were there with the Pandavas. Still she motivated. Dharmam will prevail, adharmam will vanish and perish. And she could encourage, motivate, appreciate, console, and take individuals. Don't worry whether 5 husbands or 10 husbands or 20 husbands. What you have to learn from Draupadi, that is important. And Shakuni, remember that many a times problems are not coming from outside, problems will be coming from inside. We may be thinking that problems for a family, for a society, for a club, for an institute, for a movement, process, problems may be coming from outside. More problems will be coming from inside than the problems coming from outside. In Kaurava's family, in Dhritarashtra's family, in Gandhari's family, problems were not created by outsiders, problems were created by insiders. Problems were created by insiders. That is Shakuni and Gandhari's own younger brother. Remember that. Everywhere, whether it is an academic institute or an industry or a commercial company or a shop or whatsoever may be, majority of the problems are not or may not be coming from outside, may be coming from inside. The best example is Shakuni himself and Duryodhana. Really active person, but negatively active. Janami dharmam najame pravarti, janami adharmam najame nivarti, denavi devena kadistidena, yada niyojayati tada karumi. This is what Duryodhana said. I know pretty well what is meant by dharma. I know pretty well what is meant by duty, what is meant by responsibility, and what is meant by privilege. I know janami dharmam. I know the dharma, but nachame pravarti, that dharma I could not practice in my life. That dharma, even though I knew pretty well, I know pretty well, I could not practice in my life. Janami adharmam. I know what is meant by adharma. Nachame nivritti. I continuously practiced only adharma. I continuously practiced only adharma. Kenavi devena kadistidena. This I now understand. I realize that all my relatives, all my brothers, all the acharyas, Bhishma Pidamaha, all got wiped out after the 18 days of war. Now I repent. Now I am sad. I feel sad. I could have avoided that. But something from my inner core, as a revengeful mind, I was always motivated by some forces from within to act, to react and wipe out Pandavas and win and become the king of Hastinapura plus Indraprastha. Unfortunately, nature was not with me. Even though powerful people were with me, they fought best way. The nature was not with me. So, dharmo rakshati rakshitaha dharmameva hado handi. Those who are protecting the dharma will be protected by them. Those who are destroying Dharma, Dharma will be destroying them. Dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Dharma will be prevailing. Lord Krishna took the part of that. Lord Krishna said, I will not fight the war because Kauravas are not my enemies. Pandavas are not my closest relatives. I don't have any bondage with those two groups. So I will not take weapon. He said what he did. He did what he said. At the same time, he directed as the CEO for successful battle for the Pandavas in spite of their number being lower than Kauravas battalion. And remember that in the world, when you say I am impartial and I am unbiased, you should be impartial and you should be unbiased. Why? Because world will say Lord Krishna, in spite of his being an avatara, he protected one part. And Kauravas were not at all enemies of Lord Krishna. Then why he brought success only for Pandavas? And to keep such type of comments in the future world, Lord Krishna gave his military power, his soldiers to Kauravas, and he stood on this side with the Pandavas. Nowhere, nobody can say that Lord Krishna was biased and partial, because his soldiers were with the Kauravas. Krishna was on the other side. Remember that when you say you are impartial, when you say that you are unbiased, when you say that you are non-lenient, then what you say should be what you did and what you are expected to do under such a situation. Remember that role of Lord Krishna. He was an avatara and he could connect the past, present, and future. And it was his bound duty to see that Dharma prevails. There should be people in the world, and the nature gives them responsibility. In India also, I would personally say, you may not agree or you agree, I don't bother about it. When 2G corruption, 3G corruption, coal auction corruption, and others flat corruption, and Bofors corruption, all got filled in India, then a tea seller became the Prime Minister of India. That is India. Tam devanirmitam desham Hindustanam prachakshate. And remember that when Arjuna was almost exhausted in the battlefield, that negative could become the cause for Bhagavad Gita. And remember when Shamika Maharshi's neck, the dead snake was put by Parikshit Maharaja, that negative activity of Parikshit Maharaja became the cause for becoming Mahabharata. And the arrow shot to the two birds in Tamasa river bank by a hunter, and the death of one of the birds, that created Ramayana. So in India, all the negatives could get converted into positives. So the more the negatives come, naturally this nation becomes more and more positive. To you also, I would say, if you have got the mind, if you have got the will, if you have got the time, if you have got the energy and also background of Mahabharata, it will give you the management of life. How Dharmaputra acted, how Arjuna acted, how Nagula acted, how Vikarna acted, in spite of his being on the other side with Kaurava, Vikarna said the truth. So nobody is permanently bad in this world. Nobody is permanently good in this world. Good qualities are there for the bad people also. Bad qualities are there for the good people also. So under such situation, keep an open mind and learn Mahabharata, particularly the role of Pandavas, the role of Kauravas, role of Karna, Drona, Kripacharya, and etc. Vidura. And he was the minister. He was not expected to fight the war, but he gave most perfect advice to Dhritarashtra. And when Dhritarashtra, the king, started disobeying his own brother Vidura as the minister Vidura, naturally Vidura left the place and went back to his home, said, I am not responsible for such a situation. So keep yourself away from the negatives. Keep yourself away from the negatives if you are not in a position to correct the negatives. If you are not in a position to correct the negatives, keep yourself away from the negative. And make it sure that people are not saying you are responsible for that. Give good advice to people who deserve it and show the right pathway, whether they like it or not. And later on, they will never blame you. That is what Vidura is. So remember that. All these people, 2021 major personalities are there in Mahabharata. If you learn their activity, whether it is Karna or Dushasana or Vikarna, etc., 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 and also in the case of Pandavas, if you have got the capacity, time, energy, and knowledge to understand and analyze and evaluate Mahabharata, you can see that even in the 21st century, as Swami Vivekananda said, 21st century belongs to we Indians. These Mahabharata will be giving the best management principles for the people. In Harvard University, I was fortunate enough to visit California, Los Angeles for a major lecture program. I was received by two Indian professors of Harvard University. They gave me Bhagavad Gita, HBR, Harvard Business Review. On Gita becomes the new mantra for the big business people in America. That is the title of HBR. Gita becomes the new mantra for the big business. This means business community in US. And all the pages were filled with Bhagavad Gita and management. Not capitalistic management, not the so-called communist-based management, not the government-centralized management, but dharma-based management as explained by Lord Krishna to Arjuna for us. That is Bhagavad Gita and the management. Remember that. We have got enough to get from Mahabharata. And that too, Bhagavad Gita, Anu Gita, and Uddhava Gita. About 18 Gitas are there in Bhagavad Gita. These are all good for learning. And if you would like to take a PhD on that, go deep into it, connect it with the latest management principle. I'm sure that it will be something new that your contribution for the management studies. With these words, I would like to conclude my speech to you. The time allotted for me is 60 minutes. That is almost covering. Devadapya Pidrapyascha Mahayogibhya Evaja Namaswadaye Swahaye Nityameva Namo. With these words, I would like to conclude and would like to express my deepest gratitude to all those who are responsible for inviting me for such a fantastic. I really enjoyed that speech. I really enjoyed that speech, even though I generally used to deliver lecture in Malayalam. This English speech, I think I could enjoy, and I do not know how far you could follow it and how far you could enjoy it. But thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. I always used to be a disciple of Mother Amrita. When she was in Chicago, I was fortunate enough to meet. When she was in Michigan, I was fortunate enough to meet her there. When she was in Toronto, I was lucky enough to meet her there. And also whenever she was coming to Kaimanam Ashramam near Trivandrum, is very close to my home. I used to go and meet her. And she has given me the promise that I need not come to her. Amma will always be with me. You go, my son. Don't worry about me. You need not come to me. Meet me or discuss with me. Your work will be perfect because you are working for the nation and our culture. Go ahead. You need not come to me. This is the advice given by Mata Amrita to me. I always remember that, and I always do my pranams to her and her mission-oriented people working. And I always used to stay in Brahmasthanam in Edapalli with Dr. Krishna Kumar. And it was a really fantastic experience with Dr. Krishna Kumar. Many days I used to take class for the undergraduate, graduate, and also for the faculty members I used to take class. That was also a great experience. With all these words, I would like to do my Danda Namaskaram to each and every one of you. My pranams to you. Happy Yugadi once again to all. Dirghayur Arogya Aishwaryanam Abhivruddhirastu Uttarottara Abhivruddhirastu Iti aham prarthayami. Pranamam.
That was really an enlightening and insightful section, sir. Thank you, sir. To the concluding section of the webinar, I would like to welcome Sri Bhalu M. Menon, Research Associate from Amaji Labs, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Om Amriteshwari Namaha. Namaskar everyone. On behalf of everyone present here, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Dr. N. Gopalakrishnan sir for enlightening us with his knowledge on Mahabharata. Today's webinar was really interesting and knowledgeable. It gave deep insights into the life lessons worth emulating from Mahabharata and also revealed some interesting facts. And as you truly said, sir, it was also an enjoyable experience for all of us too. The point where Dr. Gopalakrishnan sir told us about the different slogas and also about Vidhi and Vidhi Nishedam, among other points, was really informative. I'm pretty sure the precious knowledge that Dr. Gopalakrishnan gave us will definitely help us in our future Mahabharata studies. Once again, I would like to thank Dr. Gopalakrishnan sir for taking time out from his busy schedule and enlightening us with his knowledge. Thank you so much, sir. I would
Thanks.
also like to thank our Mahabharata Upanam faculty for conducting the webinar session. I want to thank all the faculty who really worked hard to make this event successful. Also, thank you all the students present here. Thank you all.